Welcome back to the Unredacted Truth, where we fill in the missing gaps in the world's largest scandals and mysteries. In a world of rumors and theories, my job is simple: uncovering the truth underneath the glitter and the grime. We are exposing a pattern: protection, power, predators, structures built not on justice, but on silence, fear, and impunity. We're not talking theory, we're talking court records, stamps, dates, testimony, and a system that, to this day, continues to fail the public and protect the predators among us. Let's get to it.
Do you know their names or?
I don't. Full names? No. Actually, the one girl, I know her first name. I don't talk to her anymore. I haven't talked to her for a while either. I don't know, like, what their situation was. I don't know.
Okay, so that video was 17 minutes long, and it also has a lot of like skip parts for more of the sensitive stuff that she talks to, but I thought it would be a good spot to kind of like place it for you guys to see and how little she looks in that recording and that investigation and video. Okay, so now let's go back to where we were when we're reading the police case notes. So we are on Lana, the prosecutor, starting her mission to discredit a minor victim and her testimony and the case. Okay, so it goes to say, question: where did the interview occur? Answer: that occurred at the Palm Beach Police Department. Okay. Was Sally initially honest with Detective Pagan? This is coming from the prosecution. Answer: originally, she did not tell everything that occurred. It was through a subsequent interview that the further information was developed. Question: what did Sally tell Detective Pagan initially? Answer: initially that she had gone to the house with a girl by the name of Redacted. So it looks like now this is going ahead in 2024 when the court was relooking at everything. They decided that Haley Robson was a victim, and so they redacted her information as well. And we also know that even though they did put an arrest warrant for her at first, she was never actually charged for the case. We move on. So, where are we? So, answer: initially that she had gone to the house with a girl by the name of Redacted, but we know that's Haley Robson, to pick up monies that were owed to her. When Detective Pagan, further questioned her, she explained that she was taken to the house to provide a massage to a wealthy man in Palm Beach. Question: okay, she initially denied that though, and said there was no act on her part between this man and herself. So this is the prosecutor highlighting that initially the minor victim denied, if we recall. First, she denied it and said she had no idea what anybody was talking about. She just went there because she had to pick up money that was owed to Haley, not herself. They sat her down when she was present with her therapist from the like juvie detention school that she had been transferred to. And at that point, when she was with the therapist there, she was able to like relax a little bit more and let them know that, okay, Haley Robson had picked her up. They had gone there and she had given a massage to Epstein and had been provided money, blah, 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 blah. But she said, other than that, nothing happened. She just gave in the massage. And then later on the third interview is when she felt comfortable enough to reveal the entire story, which was that actually he had used the purple massager on her, on top of her underwear. So now I also want us to bring us back quickly, if we remember when Bell Hell is exchanging emails with Epstein's defense team. They are telling her that why are we putting this forward to grand jury, because there is no sex actually happened. They kept asking her, like, why does he have to register and get all these charges against him when no sex happened? The only reason that Epstein's defense team was able to argue this, and actually that argument kind of worked with the NPA and everything, is because Bell Hill negated and didn't include any of the other victims and testimony where such contact actually did happen out of the grand jury trial and prosecution. So after she drops her little nugget, another second nugget of doubt on the jury's lap, Detective Joe answers that's correct. Question. Okay, but she ultimately told them that she went for a massage. Answer correct. Question. To give him a massage? Answer correct. Question. Did Sally discuss with Detective Fagan about going to the house? Like, did you know Haley was going to bring you here to do a massage, that you were going to get money? Answer, yes. Question, what did Sally say Haley explained to her? Answer, originally, if I can read this, because remember, Detective Joe wasn't part of this part of the investigation, so he's just trying to read notes. So it goes on saying, originally the first interview was done at the high school. She was going to the house to provide the massage. It was offered to her by Haley Robson to provide the massage to this man, who was later identified as Jeffrey Epstein. Question. Did Sally admit to Detective Pagan knowing that Haley worked for this man in exchange for favors? Answer, yes. Question. Did she say that she was offered the opportunity to do those and that's why she went? Answer, yes. Question. Okay. Did Detective Pagan asked Sally if she ever discussed with Haley about letting the man know her age? Answer, it was discussed in the ride over that if she would ask her age, it to say she was 18. Question. Okay. And Sally and Haley agreed that she was going to do that if asked? Answer, yes. Question. Okay, Miss Olivet. At this point, we're going to ask Sally to testify. Okay, he agrees. He okays. Please hang around. Okay, so this is all. So this is the beginning of the witness testimony. So picture yourself setting sin, your grand jury. You are being presented the case, and this is the opening testimony, basically opening statement from the prosecution about the defendant. Remember, Bell Hell is the prosecutor who is supposed to be prosecuting a case against Epstein for the people. In this case, the people would be the minor victims, and she's supposed to be working with the police department. But this line of questioning does one thing and one thing. It takes away some of the accountability from Epstein and tries to blame the victim in questions such as A, was she always honest? B, did she just first say that no sex happened? This is the prosecutor putting little nuggets to discredit the witness, the minor witness. Alan Dershowitz didn't have to do nothing. He had Lana there. So before she even goes onto the stand, as the jury knows that one, she wasn't completely honest the first time, and two, the first she denied the sex act. Next, her last, to close up her opening statement, opening questioning of the detective. She then continues to escalate her campaign to discredit the case and the witness by letting the jury know that one, this was the whole school knew it was 14-year-old is painted in the light of as a prostitute by the prosecution in front of the grand jury. She also pushes for them to understand that it was money in exchange for favors, that the minor victim knew where she was going and what she was doing there. All these go to one thing, and to like discredit, to the hurting. The prosecution is just aiming for one thing, and that's to harm the credibility of the minor victim before she even takes a stand. Because all the jury knows is that at first she wasn't completely honest with the officers, that she denied at first any contact. 3, that the whole school knew she called her or thought she was a prostitute. 4, that she knew it was going to be in exchange for money with Haley Robson. And 5, that they decided to let Epstein know. When we know it was Sarah Callan who advised us to tell Epstein that she was 18. Now, grand jury doesn't know about Sarah Callan telling them and the organizations and reading all the investigations and the ins and outs of the case. All they can go from is this witness testimony, and she has made it to ask very narrowed questions that hurt the minor victims. Now we go on to Sally's testimony. Brace yourselves. This is Sally's now taking the stand during the grand jury prosecution. So again, Miss Dugan. So it looks, we have 2 state attorneys on this case, Lana and Dugan. Dugan appears to only be swearing people in, with Lana Belovic taking the lead as she has been charged by Epstein on the first cancel. She's very good at working for Epstein. Anyway, let's keep going. So Miss Dugan brings the minor victim in. She says, "Come on in. We're going to have you sit over here. Could you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?" The witness, "I do." Miss Dugan goes on to say, "When you're here testifying, everything's recorded with a microphone system. So you can put your hand down, you have to answer as you did verbally, or you can't shake your head because that won't be recorded in the system that's going on. So you have to say yes or no, you can't shake your head. And one important thing is you're here today before the grand jury, and it is a crime to lie. And in our terms, we call it perjury. But in regular people terms, it's lying to the grand jury. So there's one important rule here today. You must tell the truth, 100% of the truth. Because you cannot, there's no penalty for telling the truth. It's the opposite. If it can be shown, proven that you lied to the grand jury, there is a crime. Do you understand that? The witness says, mm-hmm. I can feel like the sass. I'll be giving sass at that point. And then Miss Dugan says, "Is that a yes?" Witness, "Yes." Miss Dugan, "Okay, so move up to the microphone a little bit and be sure that you speak yes or no, and so that even the folks in the top of this room can hear your answers, okay?" Witness says, "Okay," and then the examination begins with bell health. First, before we go on to the examination, I also want to poke this whole so here's the truth, 100% of the truth. What does this go? This is further putting into the grand jury minds about the minor witness. Again, she hasn't even testified yet that she's a liar. Bell has been doing it starting when she was talking to Detective Joe, and now because they're doing indirectly, right? They're not calling this little girl who's 14 and traumatized on the stand a liar because they would look like a-holes, obviously. They're doing it subtly, just trying to imprint it into the grand jury's minds. First with Detective Joe, and now even with her the way she's sworn in, again, do you know the truth? Can you tell the truth? Why? Because she's a liar, according to the prosecution. How do you prosecute a case when you believe the victim is a liar and you don't know? Anyway, let's continue. All right, so now the examination of minor victim, let's call her Sally, is starting, and Alana Belolovec Bellhouse is handling this examination again. Pay close attention to the questions she asks this minor girl. So, all right, could you tell us who you are? She tells her name. Asks, how old are you? 16. point, when this case started, this girl had just turned 14. And by the time it got to grand jury, because of all the delays and foolery and BS, she's now 16. So it's been like 2 years of her life dealing with this. Anna then goes on to question when her birthday is, and she lets them know that she is 1990. So, actually, I'm the same age. Like, I was born the same year with her. We're 90 babies together. All right. So again, when I say question, moving forward in this section, question is the prosecution, Lana Belovovic Belhau. Answer is the minor victim, who at this point is now 16. Case started when she was 14. Now she's 16. So it's taken 2 years for it to get to grand jury. All right. So now we go with question. How old were you in February of 2005? I was 14 still. Jen, 14 or 15? Answer, I was 14 still. Well, this happened when I was 14. So you turned 15 later that year. Again, see how she's trying to push that she was a bit older? 15, being molested at 15 sounds better than it happening at 14, Valhalla? Watch that, okay? And you just turned 16? Answer, yeah. Okay, so you were just short of 15. Why is she pushing this? See how she's trying to push her closer to 15 than the age she was when this happened with Jeffrey Epstein, which is 14 years old. Answer, Question, all right, where do you live? She lets them know where she lives. Question, where do you go to school? She lets them know where she goes to school. Okay. Currently where she goes to school. Then question, okay, where did you go to high school in 2005? Sally answers. Question, where is that? Sally answers. And then they talk about the world. Okay. So then question, what grade were you in 2005 when you were at the high school? Answer, I was in the 9th grade. Question, did you know someone named Redacted? Answer, yes. Question, how did you know her? Answer, I used to date her cousin. Okay, now I used to date her cousin. This line lets her know that they're talking about Haley Robson. Because if we remember from the police investigative notes, again, if you haven't, go look at behind the Epstein 2005 investigation timeline to go through the police investigation notes. But we do know that Sally at 14 was dating Haley Robson's cousin, and she was over at the boy's house, her boyfriend's house, when Haley Robson approached her about going to Epstein's for the massage and stuff. Next, okay, all right. Question, all right, how old, I believe, Haley? Answer, at that time, yes. So question, all right, how old Haley? Answer, at that time, I think she was 18 or 19, I think. Question, who was her cousin that you dated? Answer, she provides the boy's name. Question, was Haley going to school at, or did you know her from outside the school? Was she going to school with you, or did you know her from outside? Answer, I knew her from outside the school. Question, how much contact did you have with Haley? Answer, I met her the night before I went to Jeffrey's house. Again, same narrative I was letting you know. She was at her boyfriend's house. Haley Robson was there. He approached her the next day. They picked her up. The next day was a Sunday. And they picked her up and took her to Jeffrey Epstein's, and they went shopping to TJ Maxx after. It's like in my skull. Anyway, keep going on. Question. Okay, tell us about the night when you met Haley. Answer. I was with my boyfriend at my house, and her or his aunt lives like 4 streets down from mine. So we went to say hi to his aunt and stuff, and Haley was there, and I was introduced. Question. Had you met her before that night? Answer. Like a family football thing. Like they had a family get together for a football game, and she was there. Question. Okay. Answer. But I just said hi to her. Question. All right. Answer. Like I never knew like who she was. Question. Not a lot of conversations. Answer. Yeah. Question or answer. It was just kind of like, hi, nice to meet you. Question. Okay. that night you go down there, you meet her, what happens? Answer, yeah. And then it was just kind of like a regular night and we were hanging out, watching TV. And then like it was like 11:30ish or 10, something like that. And she was like, what are you doing tomorrow? And I said nothing. And then she was like, oh, well, do you want to make like $200? And I was like, yeah, sure. And she was like, well, you're going to have to like meet my friend Jeffrey. And he lives in a big, humongous mansion. And like he lives on the water and all this stuff. And then I was like, that's really cool. And then she's like, but you have to give him a massage for like 40 minutes. And that's all you have to do. And you get like $200 for it. And it's really easy. And I was like, okay, like whatever, it's just a massage. And then Haley was like, no, and then the boyfriend was like, he was wondering what happened. All those pause for all those wondering, I'm reading it verbatim with the likes. That's why I'm keeping the likes so much. Okay, so it goes, she's still answering about what happened that night. So, and then boyfriend was like, he was wondering what happened. And then we were just told him. And then he was like arguing with Haley. And then him and Haley went into the bathroom for like a couple of minutes to argue. And Haley had like her boyfriend there. So me and him were stuck in like the living room watching TV, listening to them argue for a couple minutes. And then they came back out. And then we went outside and Haley had called Jeffrey on the phone. And Jeffrey's assistant lady, I don't remember her name, she answered the phone and she said that she had somebody that would give Jeffrey a massage tomorrow. And the lady asked how old I was and who I was, like what was my name. But Haley said that like I had to be 18. So she told the lady I was 18 and then I went to the boyfriend and I went to this high school and I was a senior and everything. Okay, so let's do that. But Haley said that like I had to be 18. So she told the lady that I was 18 and that I went to blank and I was a senior and everything. And so the little assistant lady said, like, okay, that's fine, come in tomorrow. So then I went home. Right? Okay, so just to finish her answer, we do know that the assistant lady was Sarah Callan that they're talking to on the phone. Okay, so it goes on with the questioning. Okay, let me stop you there. Couple things. Answer, okay. Question. Did you know if Haley and your boyfriend were what they were arguing about? Answer. Yeah, because he didn't want me to go because I guess he knew about like his cousin kind of did that already. And question, did that concern you that he didn't want you to go and you were agreeing to go anyways? Answer, well, yeah, because well, I was like, I guess because I was 14 and he was like 16 and stuff. And he was just like, don't go, don't go, don't go. And I was like, well, it's $200. And I was 14 and I was like $200. So I really didn't care what he said. Question. Okay, and from listening to Haley's end of the phone conversation, the person at Jeffrey's house was trying to verify that you're at least 18. Answer, okay. Is that a yes? Answer, yes. Before I continue on, let's also go back to the minor victim is on the stand and she's letting them know everything that happened that led up to Haley asking her to go to Jeffrey Epstein's house. The prosecutor, Lana Balalovec, stops her and says, wait, let's make sure the grand jury knows a couple details about this case. That you wanted to go there for money? Yes, you need to tell the jurors that you wanted to go there for money. You need to let them know that you know what you're doing. All this is doing, again, trying to further instill into the grand juries that this 14-year-old victim, it was her fault. She knew what she was doing. And she's a prostitute. Below the prosecutor is trying to prosecute this case, handling it like this 14-year-old victim was nothing but a prostitute. But we also have to recall that when they're interviewing her parents, this was an otherwise amazing girl. No problems with school, marks, everything. She was a good girl until this happened. How many of us in high school have been dating a boy who's older and this is his cousin and you want to be cool and show like you're in with the crowd the way and like you make a stupid decision trying to impress that boyfriend and his friends or his family at 14. But the way it's being like presented and pointed, like this girl, basically she brought herself. Anyway, we keep going. So the next, go into the rest of the answer and testimony. So Sally goes on to answer on the stand. So this is after Lana is like that kind of like tries to push that she told Epstein and Sarah Callan that she was 18. But also remember, Haley Robson in her testimony had said in her police interview that she had tried to bring a 23-year-old and they had said that person was too old and she had got asked specifically to bring younger people. Let's continue with this witness testimony. So Sally goes on to say, and about like after she hung up the phone with the lady, she explained to me that she explained to me that we went back inside the house and she explained to me that I was going to have to like tell the lady, like make up a lie about my whole life. Like that I'm graduating from the high school already, that I'm 18, all of this stuff, and that I've known Haley for a long time, like just to make it look like I was older. And so I agreed to do all that stuff. And then I went home for the night. And then the next morning, Haley and another lady, like another teenager girl, because we all know the girls kind of went in groups. I don't remember her name. In the police note, they said possibly Hispanic girl. She was in the truck with her. And like she was leaving my house but my dad saw, and I told him we were going to the mall at Palm Beach. So she's saying the next morning, Haley and another girl come to our house to pick her up. Her dad catches them leaving. So she tells the dad, "Hey dad, I'm going to the mall with Haley and whatever the girl is." Goes on to tell in her testimony. And my dad's like, okay, he didn't have a problem. And since it was my boyfriend's cousin, he didn't care that I was going with Haley. But he met, like, we were leaving and my dad was coming in the office. And they were like pulling into the driveway. And he saw Haley and she asked my dad for $5 for gas. My dad said, like, yeah, sure, $5, whatever. And then we left. And then when we got to Jeffrey's house, so Lana stops again. So it looks like she's saying, so on the next day, which was a Sunday, Haley comes to pick her up. Her dad's on his way out of the house. She tells the dad, hey, we're going to the mall. Haley asks the dad for gas money. He gives them $5 for gas, and off they go to Jeffrey's house. Now, Lana is stopping her again. Question: do you know Jeffrey's full name? Answer: Jeffrey Epstein or whatever. Where was the house? It's in Palm Beach, whatever. But then when we pull in the driveway, nobody was there. Like Haley, like he's not home. And Haley's like, he's not home. So when we walked up anyways, we all got out of the car and there was like a gate that you have to walk into to go to the back door. And there was like security guard or whatever. And he has a little office or in the back and he saw us. So he came up to the gate and he asked us what we were there for. And Haley said Jeffrey. And so the guy was like, okay. And he opened the gate. All three of us went in like to the back door towards the kitchen because I guess the kitchen's right there when you open the door. So we were sitting like in a bar like this and we were waiting for about 15 minutes. And then Jeffrey and the assistant walked in through the back door. Also, we know that assistant is Sarah Callan. And that's when I first met Jeffrey and we shook hands. And then the lady also introduced herself too. And then the lady was like to Haley and the other girl was talking to Haley and the other girl for a couple of seconds. And then Jeffrey said, who is going to go first or whatever? And Haley and the other girls like, I don't care. And then Jeffrey's like, how about you? Pointing to me. And then I was like looking back at Haley and laughing. And then she was just like scooted her hand to go. And she was laughing too. And I was like, okay. From that part, I can tell like the laugh is a nervous laughter. I am a nervous laughter too. The testimony goes on to say, so then in the kitchen, it was like a little hallway, not really, but like a stairway to go upstairs. And we were walking up there, and the assistant lady walked me up there. And as Jeffrey was talking to them after. So it looks like Sarah Kellen walked her up the stairs. Jeffrey was still downstairs talking to Haley Robson and the other girl. She goes on to say, and then she was pointing out all these pictures and all this stuff, and then like leading me up to like a bathroom. And it was like really big though, and like there was 2 closets. And then she went into the one closet and pulled out the massage table and set it out in front of like this couch. And then she put like a little blanket or whatever over the massage table. And then she opened up a drawer, and there was like a bunch of different like lotions for getting massages. And she just picked like a couple of them out and just set them up on the vanity table. There was a big mirror on the other wall opposite to the massage table. And then she told me to get not undressed, but like keep your bra and your panties on. And I was like, okay. And at this point, Sarah Epstein's still downstairs. Sarah Kellen has let the 14-year-old minor up into Jeffrey's bedroom, whatever massage area in his bedroom, pointing out the pictures as they go up the stairs. She lays them out, and then Sarah Kellen has now told the 14-year-old to get undressed, and she in her bras and underwear. All right. So Lana Bellhell, the prosecution, now interrupts the minor at this point with a question. Had Haley told you about that before? Answer, no. I thought like it was going to be a massage, like you keep your clothing on. And that when I got in the room, that's when the lady like explained what I would have to do just to get undressed and keep my bra and panties on. And then question, and did you do that? Answer, mm-hmm. Question, is that a yes? Answer, yes. And then just stay in the room for a couple of seconds. And then Jeffrey would be coming in the room any minute. So she's saying when she got undressed, Haley told her to stay in the room for a couple of seconds and that Jeffrey would be coming in the room. And then Jeffrey did come in the room and said, hi. And he shook my hand again. But then he went out of the room and he got undressed. But he had a towel on. And then he came into the room again and laid belly down on the massage table. Question, okay, stop a minute. What did this man look like, this Jeffrey Epstein? Answer, old. Question, how old? Answer, he looked like 50-ish, maybe. Question, okay. Answer, 40. Question, how was he dressed when you initially met him? Answer, like he was going golfing. He just had like a polo t-shirt and khaki pants. Question, okay. And how were you met when you first went to his house? Dressed. When you first went to his house, my stomach like just did like a leap because I know how the line of questioning proceeds. Okay, let's keep going. Question is from the prosecution to the minor victim on the stand. How were you dressed when you first went to his house? Minor victim answers. 14-year-old victim answers. I was wearing a regular t-shirt, my Hollister shirt, and just some jeans. From the prosecutor. Asking 14, now 16-year-old victim on the stand who was 14 at the time of the incident with Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, what kind of underwear did you have on? Answer, minor victim, thong. Question from the prosecutor to the victim on the stand in front of the jury. Minor victim. And the bra, what type of bra? Answer from the minor victim, it was a bra. The prosecution, Lana Belalovic, goes on to further interrogate the minor victim on the stand about her bra. Okay, no special? Answer, Question, certain type but thong underwear. Were you comfortable getting down to your bra or underwear? Answer from the minor victim to the prosecutor while she's on the stand. Like I was kind of hesitant. I was like sitting in the room for until Jeffrey came in, like thinking like to myself, well, like what was going on? Like, I don't know. I was kind of hesitant, but then I just didn't care because I wanted $200 because I wanted to spend it. So I just didn't care. I just questioned, okay, all right. So he comes out and he's in a towel. Start from there. Okay. So the prosecutor interrogating a minor. The minor is now 16 on the stand. She was 14 at the time of the incident. This prosecutor, Lana Belolovec in Palm Beach, is questioning this minor victim about the underwear. She's questioning the underwear she was wearing at 14 years old when she was abused by Jeffrey Epstein. Just need to put that there. Let's keep going. Question. Okay. All right. So he comes out and he's in a towel. Start from there. Answer. And then he like laid on the massage table, got on his stomach, and then he told me like to grab any of the 3 lotions that she had put down on the table. And so I just grabbed one of them. And then I just gave like I sat first. I wasn't sitting on the table because he was sitting on the table and it was kind of like I just stood up. And then I started to give him a massage. And then he's making conversation, asking me exactly what Haley was going to tell me to do. Like, if, what high school do you go to, and all this stuff. So, question. Did he ask you how old you were? Answer, uh-huh. And I question, and what did you tell him? Answer, I told him I was 18. And he asked me, like, what do you like to do for my spare time? And I said, I dance and all this stuff. And just asking me small talk. And then he's like, oh, well, you don't have to stand up. You can sit on the table. And I sat on the table. I was giving him a massage. And I think the massage, it was a couple minutes, like 15 or 20 minutes. And this whole time we were just conversating about anything. And then he was telling me how he had another house in New York and just a whole bunch of stuff that I was like amused by. And then after like 20 minutes or of giving him a massage or 30 minutes or something, he was around that time, he asked me if I wanted to make an extra $100 and that all that he'd have to do use gets cut off again by the prosecutor on a bell hell. Question. Before we get there, let me just ask you a couple of things. You said that the assistant had you undress. Listen to what she decides to clarify for the jury in the testimony. Answer, Is that a yes? Yeah. Question. Do you remember telling Detective Bacon that it was Jeffrey Epstein that asked you to undress? Answer, no, I'm like positive it wasn't Jeffrey because he didn't come in the room until after I was already in my underwear and my bra. Question, okay, if that's in her report, that's incorrect. Yes. Question, all right. When you talk about getting on the table, do you recall telling Detective Pagan that you were actually straddling him and your answer? Yeah, that's what when I got on the table, like after a couple minutes, question, okay, and you were straddling him with your bare buttocks to his bare buttocks? Answer, yeah, well, kind of. There was a towel that like it was kind of covering his butt, but not really covering his butt. And I was like not really covering his butt. But I was laying like on his lower back near his butt, but like I wasn't on his butt. Question. So if she wrote, you stated you exposed your bare buttocks when touching his bare buttocks, that'd be kind of correct. Okay. And then, yeah, I guess. All right. Answer. You could say that. Question. So how long did that go on when you're sitting on top of him? Answer. Until like the massage part was over, and then he like asked, well, would you like to make an extra $100? And then I said sure. And then he's like, but I have to like you're not going to be giving a massage anymore. It's going to be something different. And I was like, what is that? And then he's like, can I use a on you? And I was like, okay. And then so then he got up and he went into his like other room for a couple seconds, like literally a couple seconds, and then came back in the room. And next to the little vanity, big mirror, and all this big table, there was like on the floor, there was just like, or what it looked like to me. Question, what did it look like? Answer, it was like purple. And it was kind of like a massager, but not really. Like it looked like a massager, but it wasn't really a massager. And question, what was it shaped like? Answer, like a circular in the top, and then it was like a handle at the bottom. And then after he grabbed that, he laid back on the table and except this time he was on his back and I was partially on the table. Like half of my butt cheek and my leg was on the table and the one leg was on the floor. And like sometimes I put it on the couch, like, cause the couch was right there and the table was right there. So it was kind of close. And he told me to keep giving him a massage but to give a massage on his chest. Question. So you're sitting on the table now and he's standing up? Answer. No, no, no. He was laying on the table, but like I was kind of on the table. Like half my butt and my leg was on the table and the other half was like on the couch, like I was holding. Question. Okay, but he's laying down. Answer. Uh-huh. And then I was giving a massage on his chest and he was still talking for a couple minutes and then he used them and like that was like 10 minutes maybe or so and then question. Now I have to be detailed here. Where was he using see how she doesn't want to talk about it. She's trying to speed through this entire part of the testimony. But Bell Hell is like, wait a minute. We just have to let them know how you were a liar and the details of how you were a prostitute to this old man. Anyway, and have you noticed how many times she interrupts the witness, the minor victim's witness testimony mid-sentence? She has an agenda of points she needs the grand jury to understand and highlight, and none of those points are serving the victim. They're all to serve Epstein. Anyway, it goes on to say, question. Now, I have to be detailed here. Where was he using the answer? Can I say along my question, okay? Answer, I don't know what else to say. Question, all right, go ahead. Answer, okay. And then after, for a couple minutes, that's what he was doing. And then he jerked off for like a couple minutes. Like I was on the table and Haley told me that like if he does that, then you have to get more money because that's like he gives you extra money if he jerks off anyways. Cause I guess it's some like his or whatever. And then it says indiscernible. So she probably says like fetish or whatever. And as she's continuing, Lana Belolovec, prosecution, interrupts her again. Question. And Haley had told you that before? Answer, mm-hmm. She told me that like the night that that this whole conversation with her and she told me about it. Question. Okay. So she just didn't tell you you were going for a massage. She told you that there you might have to take your clothes off. Answer. No. She did tell me that I would have to take my clothes off, but she said that if he jerks off in front of you, then you can get more money. Question. Okay. So when he offered you the extra $100, you had a pretty good idea of what was coming next. Answer. Yeah. Question. And when you say jerked off, what do you mean? Answer. He put his hand on his penis and started going up and down kind of fast. Question. Okay. Could you see his penis at that point? Answer. Uh-huh. Question. Is that a yes? Answer. Yes. Question. All right. Go ahead. That went on for how long? Answer. A couple of seconds. Like 40 seconds. And then after that, like the massage was over and he went out of the door back to wherever he goes. I couldn't see where he was going because the door was this way and he walked out. And I guess he was like, his money behind the door because only took a couple of seconds for him to come back in the room. And then he opened his money, like his wad, and gave me $300 bills, three $100 bills, and told me thank you. And then he's like, there was a notepad there next to the couch and told me to write my name and number because I had a cell phone at the time. And he told me to write my cell phone number down and how he could get a hold of me and all this stuff. So I wrote my number down and wrote my name. And then after that, he just left the room and told me I could get dressed again and it was done. It was over. Did you actually see him? Answer: no. Question: okay, did he not, or didn't see that? Answer: if he did, I didn't see it. Question: okay, do you recall telling Detective Pagan it happened in a different sequence? Again, prosecution keeps, this is 2 years after a traumatic incident happened to a 14-year-old that she's asking her to retell the events of her trauma, while this a-hole of a prosecutor lined up below every step of the way does everything to make this victim appear to be a liar on the stand against the man that she is supposed to be prosecuting. Sorry, let's keep going. No, I'm not sorry. We need to highlight how this ignoramus of a woman treated this case and how she made sure that in her questioning from the start of Detective Joe and in the way that she questioned this minor victim 2 years after her trauma happened to her was all intended to make her appear not credible and as a perpetrator of her own abuse, a prostitute, and a liar. Okay, we go on with Lana asking the victim, okay, do you recall telling Detective Pagan it happened in a different sequence? Answer: no. Question: and what that he firsthand before he put them on your answer? Maybe. This was like 2.5 years ago. So thank you. 2.5 years ago. Question: okay. Answer: that could have happened. Question: do you recall not telling her about them at all? Answer: yeah. Question: the first time you talked to her? Answer: yeah, I remember that because I was scared. Question: okay. Why were you scared about that and not scared about telling her that he in front of you? Answer: because that's his body and on my body. Even the first time I read that, like I could feel like the trauma and the pain through that answer. Because that's his body and on my body. So Lana goes on to question the minor victim. So you didn't want to admit that you had allowed him to touch you. That's the redirect. From when she says that, the prosecutor asks this young girl on the stand, okay, so you didn't want him to admit that you let him touch you. Let that sink in for a moment. We go on. She answers, yeah. Question: okay, and he gave you $300. Answer: uh-huh. Question: you left your number so he could contact you again? Answer: yes. Question: okay, when he left the room, what happened? You got dressed. Did he take you downstairs? You go downstairs by yourself? Answer: I just went downstairs by myself. I could how I wasn't there, but I can probably just imagine how defeated she felt, and probably from that point on, she's probably blaming herself that as she's doing the rest of her witness testimony. Anyway, let's continue with Bell Hell. Re-traumatizing this poor girl on the stand again. Okay. Question: who was down there? Was Haley still down there? Answer: uh-huh. The Haley was there and the other girl was there and the assistant lady. She might have been there, but I don't know. I can't remember. But then after that, we left like they didn't do anything. She got money, but she didn't do anything. Question: who is she? Answer: Haley did. Question: okay, do you know how much money Haley got? Sir, I think it was 300 too. This question, okay? Answer, or maybe 200. 300? Question, do you know what that was for? Answer, no. At that time, I thought maybe she did something like with somebody else in the house. But then I was like thinking there was only Jeffrey and the lady there. Like I didn't think anything of it. And again, she's interrupted. Question, but did you learn that she got money for bringing you there? Answer, yeah. I kind of figured that when I got back home, like I was thinking about it for a while and I realized, well, it's probably because she brought me there. Question, okay. Did you discuss with Haley what happened in that room? Answer, yes. Then when we got in the back in her truck, at first we were like, let's go spend our money. Then she was like, what happened? What did you do? How much money did you get? And I was like, I got $300. And I was like, I was excited, $300. And then she was like, you got 300? What did you do? What did you have to do with him? And then I told him or her what I did. So Haley was like 300. What did you have to do with him? And then the minor saying, then she told Haley what happened. So her statement goes on to say, and then she's like, oh yeah, I've done that too, blah, blah. Like then she told me like, what, like if you do this, you get that. If you do this and then get that, and then she was telling me like all this stuff. And then I was like laughing about it because I was like, yeah, thanks, for telling me that I have to get in my bra. And she was like, oh, sorry. And she's laughing. And then the other girl starts laughing too. And then we all started laughing. And then we went to TJ Maxx and she got a purse and I didn't spend any of my money. I kept it in I wanted to spend it, but I didn't want to spend it at TJ Maxx. I wanted to go to the mall or something. So then I kept it in my house, like my purse and stuff. And okay, so sorry, before we go on to Lana interrupting the victim witness again, I just want to go back and say, remember when we were reading all the police case notes after the minor victim, Detective Joe kept asking everybody, did you know you're going to get naked? Did you know you're going to get naked? And we know the minor victim always stated that she didn't know about the naked part. But then this part of the testimony, when she says, so I was like, oh, thanks for letting me know that I was supposed to get in a bra. And then she's like, oh, sorry. And they started laughing. So it does look that they were both right. Her normal thing was to always let the girls know, okay, you're going to get a massage. You'll have to get naked. This and this happens. But it seems like on this occasion, it slipped your mind. She did actually tell this specific victim about the naked part, though she did tell her about the whole bishop and the extra money part. So when Haley was being interviewed, it makes sense that she told Detective Rickery that she did say about the naked, but maybe she just forgot that part. Anyway, we keep going. So Lana has interrupted her with a question. Let's stop there. When you were in the car back with Haley, going back, did you and Haley discuss doing this again so you could earn more money? To the minor victim's answers and nervousness, we didn't plan like any certain date. She was just like, we didn't like plan this or like again, we didn't plan it. I was just like, she was like, well, if you ever need money again, you can always call me and you can come with me. And I said, okay. Questions. Okay, let me just to clarify, she's just letting her know that they didn't have any specific plans. Haley just let her know that if she ever wanted to make money, to call Haley and they could come. And then she could go with Haley again to Jeffrey Epstein's house to make money. All right, next line. Question. You don't recall telling Detective Pagan that you made plans to do this every Saturday so you could get rich? Answer. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it wasn't like a plan. It was kind of like an imaginary kind of every Saturday, like. Okay. So this reads her angle. Looking at this, why Lana is doing this questioning of planning to go do it again to get more money, she's trying to now introduce the 14-year-old is a prostitute angle with this line of questioning. Then we go on. So the victim is trying to finish her witness testimony by saying it wasn't for sure. Lena then jumps in. Question: did you go back to Jeffrey Epstein's house to give him other massages? Answer: I did not. Question: okay. Answer: when I was still on the phone with the detective, we pretended for Haley. Because she was on the other line, we pretended that I was going to go back, but just so she could say something, but I never did. Question: okay, so you did a controlled phone call with Haley? Answer: uh-huh. Question: okay, trying to get her to make admissions? Answer: yes. Question: is that a yes? Answer: yes. Question: okay, all right. Was there another reason you sort of didn't go back, that some people might have found out something about it or were talking about you? Again, this is the prosecution trying to enter this whole prostitution defense for the defense team. Answer: yeah, that's what I was going to get to. At school, I had like my best friend, and I told her in dance class, because that's my first period. That was my first period class. And like right when I got back to school, I had the $300 on in my purse with me. And I told her, like, if you ever want to make $300, you can come with me and Haley will take you. And I didn't say her name. I was like, my friend will take you. And all you have to do is give him a massage and stuff. And I told her what I did. I didn't tell her everything. I didn't tell her the part. I just left that out, but I told her everything else. And she kind of laughed and giggled. And she's like, okay, I'll keep that in mind. And then again, interrupted. Question: who was this person that you told? Answer: at this point, she tells the girl's name. Well, she was in the so she told two people, it looks like. Well, she was in the conversation, but she's like, didn't say anything to anybody. So from this answer, it looks like she told her best friend, but there was another girl in the conversation who just kind of was like listening in, but wasn't really partaking. All right. So then clarifies a name or details, and then the answer goes on. She verifies the name and says she didn't say anything at first until everybody else found out. So she's clarifying the other person who is standing there. The victim is going on with her statement. She didn't say anything at first until everybody else found out. And then, well, after I told Redacted, which is her friend, the rest of the day goes by. And she was telling people and like telling everybody in school. And then I was like, I saw her in my gym class that same day and I just confronted her. And I was like, well, why are you telling people? And that's kind of my business. And I kind of told you to be nice and not to like go around telling people you're supposed to be my best friend. And then she just laughed about it. So then we got in an altercation in the gym room. Question: was that a fight? Answer: yes. Question: you had a fight? Answer: we got into a fight, and that's when I had to go to the principal's office, and she told why she got in the fight with me, and I told her why she got in a fight. And I kind of we at first we both kind of lied about why. Or I did. So she's saying at first we lied about what the fight was about. And then I was just told the principal she was spreading rumors about me. So she's saying at first she lied and just said the fight was about spreading rumors, but she didn't tell the principal why. Is that really a lie? I guess a lie by omission. Next, the victim says, and then the other girl, I guess, told the principal why, like for real. And so the principal, when I had to go in the room, she was like, let me see in your purse. Okay, so when the minor victim is saying that at first she lied about what the fight was about, is that she didn't she was asked about the fight. All she said was it was about rumors and did not say anything about the $300. But the other girl is the one who told the principal there's $300. So then the principal asked to see her purse. So technically, it's not real lie. She just didn't say the full, like everything, because it was a fight about rumors being started about her. Anyway, we continue. Sonner here representing the victim against the prosecution. Anyway, we keep on going. So she continues saying, and I said, why? So she's saying why to the principal asking to see her purse. And she's like, asked me if I had any money. And I said, no, I don't have any money on me. And she said, like, you don't have to lie. You're not going to be in trouble. Give me your purse. And then I gave her my purse and she found the $300. And she asked me how I got it. And I said I worked at blank because at the time I really did work at blank. So she did have she said it came from her job. She had a job at this time. I believe it might have been Olive Garden. Could be Haley Robson was working at Olive Garden at the same time, but if I remember correctly from the police notes, there was Olive Garden involved somewhere. So it goes on. So she goes, then Bell, the prosecutor, interrupts the minor again and says, why did you lie to the assistant principal? Again, highlighting it for the jury. So the minor goes on to say in the answer, because I didn't think it was like any of her business, like why we were arguing or anything. And I thought I would tell on myself if she doesn't really know anything yet. But then she really did know because her friend had told her. And then after she took my purse and she looked at the $300, she didn't believe that what I said, like, at all. And I just kept lying and like saying, no, I got it from this, my work. And then she said, you don't have to lie. I know what happened. And she called my stepmom, and my stepmom came to the school, and my stepmom said, like, you didn't get $300 from your paycheck, you're lying. And then that's when, like, I don't know, everything kind of came out. And then I question, you didn't tell your parents at first, so did you lie to them too? Answer, I said I was doing drugs and I was dealing them. Like, I made up any kind of lie. I didn't want to tell them what happened. This is so sad. Okay, wait. Quickly, I just want to correct this. Again, remember, guys, this is 2 years after the incident actually took place. In the original police investigative notes, what happened when this fight happened at this school, it wasn't until later that the stepmom actually knew what happened. It's because Jessica, or the other girl's parent, her name was not Jessica. The other girl's mom is the one who called the stepmom to tell her what happened. But Sally, the fight, I believe, happened on Thursday at school. Sally ran away from home after that. She didn't return home after school, after she got in a fight. Sally ran away from home, her dad's house where she lived, and then did not return to her mother's home till later at night the fight happened, and she never returned back to the same high school after that. From then on, Sally was then taken to the juvenile, like the special school for troubled youth, because she refused to return back to high school after that. And not until March, when the stepmom finally called the police, was when she actually knew what happened with the fight. Like, this whole time February and March, so I guess it's kind of close. It's a month apart. So February, this fight happens. Sally runs away from home. All of a sudden, this seemingly great child becomes a problem child. Everyone's confused, and all of a sudden they don't see her best friend anymore. And this leads them for Sally moving out of her dad's house to her mom's house and gets put into this juvie school, never returns to school. So the recollection, also with the way like the prosecution is leading the questioning, is a little like convoluted about what happened. All right, so it looks like, so she did not want to tell anybody what happened. Again, same with the police. It took her 3 times to admit it took her 2 times to admit that even anything happened. So she would have rather her parents think that she was dealing drugs than to let them know what happened at Epstein's house to her. Anyway, question goes on. Did there come a time from when Detective Pagan got some messages on your phone from Redacted? Answer: Redacted. Yeah. Well, after that whole thing, my cell phone was taken away. So yeah, she had my cell phone from that day until I moved away. Okay. All right. Yeah, she actually moved out of Palm Beach completely to a different. She moved to Chicago, a different city. Like, they completely moved her out Palm Beach, Florida after all this happened. But it looks like they're asking if there are any messages from Haley on her phone. And we know. So she's saying if there are messages, I don't know, because after the incident happened, her phone was taken away until she moved out of the city, out of state. I believe she did move out of state. It goes on, and she, like my mom, I think she still has it, or the court or whatever has my cell phone. The 14-year-old never got her cell phone back, and if we remember from the police notes, the mom gave Detective Bacon an alternate phone number, and it was only temporary to make the control calls because they did not want Haley or Sarah Kellen being able to reach her and contact her. So then it goes on to say, question, you talked about telling your mom you were doing drugs or selling drugs. Answer, yeah, I just question which one. So cuts her off. So yeah, she's trying to explain. She gets cut off by the prosecutor. Which one? Answer, just both. My dad's arguing with me, and I just kind of told him, well, I'm a drug dealer. Question, okay, so you've had a problems with drugs though, haven't you? Answer, I did. Not a problem. I experimented. Question, did your parents actually send you away to a rehabilitation center because of it? Answer, to a family help center. Pause. This rehabilitation center was not for drugs. This is the Juvie Family Help Center that they sent her to finish high school because she refused to go back to the school, and she had run away from her dad's house to her mom's house. It's not like Haley ran off. I mean, not Haley. It's not like Sally, this little girl, ran away to some God knows where, hanging out with like riffraff on the street for days and days. No, she literally ran away from her dad's house to her mother's house. The parents were separated. That's all she did. Refused to go to school, and they put her into this special school for children, not because of drugs. While this asshole of a prosecutor, Lana Belolovec, is trying to pen it to the jury that this little girl had to go to rehab because at 14, she was a prostitute drug addict. Liar. Dirty liar. And Lana Belolovec is still in the Florida freaking office. AUSA office or whatever. Disgusting. Absolutely freaking disgusting. Okay. Answer, to a family help center. Question, okay. Answer, to be specific or whatever, it was because of that. But it was also because I had a lot of family, like getting along problems. Like, I argued with my parents a lot. Question, were you doing drugs during the time that you went to Jeffrey Epstein's house? No. Well, the only that I did that time was pot. Like, I smoked it sometimes. I didn't do like drugs, like bad drugs. Do you still do pot? No. So the only thing this girl did was smoke pot, which now in 2026 is legal. While this hell of a freaking prosecutor is trying to paint to the jury that this now 16-year-old who had been abused when she was 14 was a raging prostitute, lying drug addict who was in rehab. Let's go on. Do you still do pot? Was the question. Answer, no. No, we have. Okay, pay attention to the MySpace pages. We all know that the reason why the first grand jury was postponed and canceled was because Alan Dershowitz sent this MySpace package. Let us look at that MySpace package just one more time. Okay, we took a little break. Oh my gosh, that's scary. Okay, we took a little break to just quickly refresh ourselves with the MySpace pages. Yeah, fuck you too, blurbs. These are the pages that Alan Dershowitz sent to Lana Belolovec. Sorry, my dog's trying to break into here. Okay, so let's go into the MySpace pages that they're now talking about, which was the package from Dershowitz to the prosecutor to attempt to throw out to not have a grand jury trial. Okay, so question, do you have a MySpace account? Answer, yes, I have a MySpace. Question, on there, you talk about doing drugs. Answer, no, I don't talk about it. There's like a little thing where it says create like your own thing, and it asks questions like a survey. That's the word I'm looking for. A survey about like they just gave questions and it says, have you ever done drugs? And I said, yeah. It says, have you ever done drugs? Question. Okay. It asks a lot of questions about you, right? Answer, yes. But I also did delete that MySpace and I did a good one. I gets cut off. Okay. Answer, I delete because my parents found out. Question, okay, you had one that wasn't real good? Yes. Question, that you lied about your age on, said they were 18 on? Answer, no, I didn't say I was 18. This is your account. So at this point, Lana Belolovec is showing the minor victim the MySpace pages that Dershowitz provided the prosecution to represent the minor's account. So she asks, this is your account? Victim, no. Question, here, your name, Sally, female, 18 years old, lives here. Answer, yes, but I didn't do this one. All mine have like cool things in the back, like mine. I would never make an ugly one. Seems like maybe, allegedly, an old man or men created a new MySpace account depicting this young girl. They catfished her and then submitted those exact same documents to the prosecution. And now the prosecution is presenting those falsified documents from Alan Dershowitz and Jeffrey Epstein's defense team, presenting it to the grand jury jurors as legit facts. Let's go. Question blank, do you have more fun? Answer, yeah. Question, you're blank. Answer, yeah, but, and I had that X like those exact same things on my old one. It had like not in what it says about me in that little sentence. So from this, it looks like she had MySpace that she deleted. Somehow, this unscrupulous group of people, Dershowitz and Epstein, got the old account that she had deleted, took some of the stuff off that to make it look like it was legit hers, and then created a duplicate fake account with that information saying she was 18. And all she says was, okay. Of course, Lana is not going to address that. She doesn't have to push it. She spent the entire freaking grand jury testimony to this point painting this little girl as a liar. So she doesn't care that the girl's now saying, I don't know these papers, this is not mine, but like whatever. Because Lana is comfortable. She has painted her like a liar this entire time to get to this portion where she knows, allegedly, I would think she knows, maybe she didn't know that these papers were false, but the way she set it up is that now for the victim to deny the MySpace pages because it's as not hers, because it's true, I believe, I'm more thingy to believe that these are not her MySpace pages that they're presenting to her. She's already been painted as not truthful, so the jury is not going to take that highly into consideration. Anyway, goes on to questions. So when you're talking about that survey, you answered, it says your dash, your choice of alcohol, and you put beer. Answer, yeah. Do you drink beer? Answer, at parties. Okay. It says you have 4 piercing. Answer, not anymore. Now I used to have my belly button pierced. Question, you have to be 18. Still trying to prove the narrative that this girl was like perpetuating herself as 18. Like, she is not. Like, Lana will not let the mouse go at the way she is falsely, horribly, horrendously presenting this poor minor victim to the jurors. Okay, so she goes on. Okay, question. You have to be 18 in the state of Florida to have body piercings other than your ears. How? Answer, my dad. Question. How did you get those? Answer. My dad took me to get my belly button pierced for my 14th birthday. Cause like everybody was getting one, so I begged for it. And then I just got my nose pierced. Question, did you have to provide identification for your nose? Just prove you were 18. Answer, no, my dad let me. Is she trying to say she had like a fake ID? Like my head is tingling. Anyway, question, your dad, so you didn't have false identification at that time? Answer, no. Question, okay. So you said yes to drinking and smoking pot. See how this line of questioning is like painting the victim? Answer, yeah. Question, there's a question. Do you shoplift? Do you recall what you put for that? Answer, I did. Question, what? You did shoplift? Answer, like, yeah, a couple of times. Question, do you recall putting lots of times on your site? Answer, maybe. That was a long time ago. So, question, okay, you reported income of 250,000. Answer, as a joke. Question, on that site? Answer, yeah, it's a joke. Like all my friends do that because it's kind of funny and random and stupid. Question, okay, so it's not that you're making money elsewhere. Trying to push this girl as a prostitute. Answer, no, it cuts her off. Question, doing similar activities. See? Answer, it was just kind of stupid. It was like a joke. Question out there for prosecutors or anyone who's dealt with a case with a victim of assault. Is your strategy to go on and make the victim look as discredit the victim completely from the start in order to get your case through? Like, is this how a prosecutor should handle questioning their victim? Not even a minor, questioning a victim in a grand jury proceeding, let alone a minor. Anyway, let's go on. Question. Okay. Did you ever make arrangements with Haley to go back to Jeffrey Epstein's house in April 2005? Answer. No. When I was with her, maybe on a phone conversation, like with that detective, but not ever when I was with her. Question. Did you ever talk to Haley about going back in April of 2005? Answer, I really don't think so. Question, okay, all right. At this point, I'm going to ask the grand jurors if they have any questions for you, okay? Okay, so before we go on to the jury questions, right before the jurors have an opportunity to ask her these questions, the way she asks it and then she doesn't follow up, that would leave a lingering thought in my head as a juror that something else happened, that she must have arranged for them to meet again in April and she's just not talking about it. Oh, she's just lying about it because this prosecutor has shown us from the beginning that this little girl is a lying liar prostitute. All right, now let's move on to the jurors' questioning of the victims. Okay, so this is juror number 1. So the first juror is asking the witness to verify where she lives. And she verifies that she moved to this new location in July with her mother. Now, remember how I let you know. So in February, the fight happens on a Thursday. She runs away from home, returns to her mother's house, which is not where she lives. She lives with her dad. And she lives with her dad. She runs away from home. So she runs away from her dad's home and runs to her mother's home, still in Florida. And then from that, she refuses to go back to school. She gets moved to this juvie, like troubled youth family center school. And she's there from like February, March. That's where Detective Paget interviews her and everything happens up to July. And in July, she moved away out of the Palm Beach area completely. So it goes on to say, so while the jury is asking the witness, just verifying the details of where she moved and how she moved with her mother, Bell stops, interrupts the jury and the minor witness questioning, and she says, your mother, your stepmother and father set you up there to get away from the activities down here. The witness then says, no, I moved with my mom. When I was with my dad, after this all happened, my mom and my dad were arguing and I didn't like my dad anymore. I just felt like living back with my mom. So then I moved with my mom. And that's when I went to the family center, is what it's called, to the family center's name. And then after that, my mom had planned on moving to out of state. She's been planning for 2 years before any of this happened, and they finally found a house in that state. So we moved, and I moved with them. Do you see this? So the juror is asking her, where do you live? Bell interrupts that line of questioning to make it appear that this girl got sent out of state by her stepmother and her stepfather to get her away from the prostitution, where it can only be assumed she's trying to push the prostitution and drug activities in Palm Beach. Again, trying to absolutely railroad this poor little girl who's sitting on the stand. Anyway, so another juror goes on to answer the next question. Do you have any idea deep down inside of you that what you are doing is wrong? So this is a jury asking the girl, do you have any idea deep down inside that what you did was wrong? What you're doing is wrong. See how she asked what you're doing? So, I also said, the way Lana has been positioning this, the jurors probably think this girl is a little prostitute. And she moved away. Prior to all this happening, perfect girl. Directly after this happened, she had the fan with her. She went to the family center. In the notes, remember, after getting away with the family center, she went back to being a good girl. But they're painting this image of her like she was this drug addicted, rehab instituted prostitute at 14. The little girl replies to the jury who's asking her if she knows what she's doing is wrong. She says, yeah, I did. And then the juror is like, oh, do you? Have you? Look at that, that admonishment that they're doing to this little girl. Imagine how she feels on the stand right now. And this is, yes, the way the jury is doing this is messed up, but we have one person to blame, and that's the prosecution on how she's handled her questioning and how she's set the stage to this point. Victim tries to go, juror goes again, have you set goals to not do it anymore? See, they're questioning this girl like she's a prostitute. She's 16. They're questioning her like she's still out there wiling out. She was never even doing that. This girl went one time with Haley Robson, looked around and found out in the easiest, simplest way of saying it, and then went back to being the normal girl, lost everything, lost her reputation, lost everything. But they're questioning her like she's out there prostituting herself at 16 because of Lana Belolovec and the way she's handled this entire questioning. Because again, remember, the jurors don't have the back notes at all. This is all they have to go with how it's fucking presented to them. Okay, witness, yes, I haven't talked to any of those people since that day. See, juror, have you set those goals of not to do it anymore? 2 years later, witness, yes, I don't. I haven't talked to any of those people since that day. The same juror says, and you're well aware that what you're doing to your own reputation. Look at this. Again, your own reputation, like it was her fault. She goes, yes, I do. I can feel how, defeated that, yes, I do must have been. And Bell adds on. So this little girl is being shamed. Bell goes on, climbs on top of that and says, you're aware that you committed a crime. She was 14, Lana Belolovec. She did not commit a crime. Question should have been asked, Lana Belolovec, was, are you aware a crime was committed against you? Is it possible to prosecute Lana Belolovec for this whole case? How do you say that to a young 16-year-old girl? who was abused at 14. Are you aware that you committed a crime? Are you aware that a crime was committed against you? The little girl says, now I am. I didn't know it was a crime when I was doing it. Like, I don't know. Now I guess it's prostitution or something like that. Look at her on the stand. She's sitting there calling herself a prostitute because of Lana Belovac and how these jurors are like questioning her and how they're speaking to her. This little girl at 16 now, she came there to let them know what happened to her. And at the end of this, she's calling herself a prostitute. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Lana continues to say, any other questions? Ask the jury for any other questions after this. One more juror asks the questions, and he says, you said you worked at a certain place. You were 14 when you worked there. The victim says yes. That's when they like first let you work when you're 14. The juror then asks her, oh, your work, you're living back with your father. In the meantime, she says, she replies, but it's not audible. And then Lana doesn't even go to ask for that. And she says, anybody else in the room? Happy because she's satisfied that they're looking at this girl, that this little girl now is looking at herself as a prostitute. So she says, second row, yes, sir. So this looks like a guy gets up to ask us questions. Says, you kept saying Jeffrey's assistant. Do you know her name? The witness says, no, I don't know that I know that she was blonde haired and she was tall and skinny. I don't remember her name. We all know that was Sarah. Oh my gosh, I'm getting freaking emotional. Like, I want to cry reading this. Like, I'm in her shoes. So we know that assistant now was Sarah Kellen. The jury says, okay. Lana Belovac then goes on and asks another juror, another man, yes, sir, in the back row. The juror says, yes. He says, miss, did you ever go back to Mr. Epstein's house on your own? The victim, oh my gosh, my voice is like cracking off for her reading this. She says, no, sir, I did not. And another jury, oh my God, sorry guys. I'm just getting I'm getting freaking emotional. Just imagining. It's okay, Baba. My dog's over here, like listening to my voice crack up. Next, another jury asks, miss, did you ever go back to Mr. Epstein's on your own? She says, no, sir, I didn't. Then the jury asks her, did he ever contact you with your cell phone? He never called you. The little girl says, no, because I got my phone taken away. The juror asks her, did you? And she says, right when I was in trouble. And then he asks her, ever feel that his behavior was a little strange? The minor victim on the stand replies, that's what we all joked about in the car. Juror says, yeah, but did it ever occur to you that he could have hacked you up? The witness says, I think about it, and a lot of things could have happened. I thought about it a lot and a lot. So the same juror asked her, should give it a little further thought. The witness says, different things could have happened. All right, so Bell Hill says, another question for Miss, and like asks if there's any other questions for the victim. And she says, all right, thank you very much. And then she says, thank you. Doesn't look like there was any other questions. And then Detective Joe Riccieri is recalled. And I want to put it, like, it's so heavy. I want to put a pause here. I need a break. I need to recuperate from this. That got super freaking emotional with it. So this is where we're going to stop this video right now. Once again, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. Next time, we'll be going on and continuing with the rest of the grand jury transcript. We know next we're going to hear from Officer Joe once again. We have another victim who is testifying, as well other police officers and investigators in their roles in the investigation. I am Sonia, and this is the Unredacted Truth. Catch you later.